with experiences. Some of them are not so inspiring. I was en route this week from my destination, from my location at the church to my destination Wednesday evening after youth group. And as I was en route, something caught the corner of my eye. Things have been catching the corner of my eye all week this week. It's like there's been a natural disaster, or it was, and people were just emptying out all the junk that had been destroyed in the disaster. This particular slide coming up, that's in front of the former Grace Parsonage. Wow, if furniture could talk, the stories it could tell. I saw one home with 5 couches on the curb, all the couches in a little better shape than that particular couch. They rented U-Hauls, literally. Some, the covered version of the U-Haul trailer, not just the flatbed trailers. And they were picking things up. Tony said he saw one that had a little trailer and a U-Haul and then a little trailer behind the U-Haul. They were double trailering behind a pickup. But out of the corner of my eye, I caught something that looked a little better, a few notches above the regular curb fare. So I made a U-turn. There it was, this office chair. It looked pretty good from a distance, and when I got close to it, I examined it. There were no scuffs, no tears. There were no scuffs and tears. All wheels intact. Hydraulic lift still working. I sat on it in the street. Proceeded to take it off the curb there, looked at the house it came from, sat down on it. Now, you have to know, I moved from Faribault to Moorhead. Faribault is where the tilt-a-whirl was invented. I might have thought of that when the chair was on wheels and the street was sloped and it was a swiveling chair. But I didn't. And in less than a snap of a finger, gravity took hold and the chair spun around and the wheels started moving, hit the curb, tipped over, and I was looking up at the trees greening in the chair. What I didn't know about this particular homeowner, I soon found out as I put my right hand to the side, I'm right-handed, and tried to lift myself out, promptly pulled my right hand back up off the ground. The homeowner had also put out lots of rosebush clippings. So I lay there for a little while picking thorns out of my hand. Shopping on the curb isn't like going to Office Max. That much I found out. I talked with a colleague recently about my age. For him, the run-up to Easter was difficult. It was filled with all kinds of extra stuff beyond the Lenten Easter stuff. And his wife is a pastor too. She survived Easter, so she's still a pastor. But he figured out Monday morning, not only was he tired, he was grumpy. About my age, he said, I did a strange thing. I picked up the phone. I dialed. I said, Mom, can I come home for a few days? And he did. Tipped office chairs, thorns, skinned knees in childhood, stress-filled days, exhaustion. A little part of us from time to time calls out for a mother's love at any age. And even those who weren't fortunate enough to have a mother's love as a child, still there's something built in us that calls out for that place, that person, that nurturing from time to time. I saw a video this last week from another Grace United Methodist Church. I'd like to share 38 seconds of it with you. It is a video from a church in Illinois, and it is a church that is working on being, all the schools in the nation have these standards to meet, working on reaching out to children to help them meet the goals that the school has put in place for their learning. Ooh, we're volumeless. Oh, there we go.
Children are are the hands. By which we hold on to heaven. Grace United Methodist.
I love that line. Children are the hands by which we hold on to heaven. And I think there's a corollary to that. At their best, moms are the hands by which heaven holds on to God's children. Look at Grace's Sunday school. I remember when I came here, the handful at most that came up front. And now we had, I think, 11 this morning. And it's really because of the moms putting in the time and the energy and the desire to help their children learn about God and to help children of other families they don't even know yet learn about God. There isn't a human being in this world who at times doesn't need that little extra tender loving care. And if we understand, at least if I understand Jesus halfway correctly, I think at the core, at the precise center of his message is this commandment. Last week we heard about Jesus being the vine and all of us being branches united to that vine. The week before it was Jesus being the shepherd and wanting to pull all the sheep into the fold. This week's scripture reframes our identity one more time, pulling us closer to Jesus with these words from him. This is my commandment, that you love one another as I have loved you. And what does that love look like? Greater love has no one than that person lay down one's life for another. And Jesus says, you are my friends if you do what I instruct you to do. Flora Slauson Woolner is an author that shows up in Upper Room publications often. She tells a story of her spiritual life. She says this, years ago at a retreat, one of the women told us a story that changed my spiritual life.